Hi everyone. So today markets did continue that after hours rally just for a little bit. Touched the level, the resistance there, 585.91. Touched that just for a moment on the 7 o'clock candle, and then we got the sells. We ended up holding support here, 579.78. And then we got a little bit of a bounce into the end of the session. You can see volume coming through at the end of the session there. So let's take a look at the charts and see if we can figure out where we might be going in tomorrow's session. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. In economic news, we got Meta coming out and saying they are going to cut 5% of their workforce in preparation for an intense year. The Zuck coming out and saying intense year. We don't know exactly what that means, but 5% cuts. On the back of that, Meta was up just a little bit. And this is already after they said they are going to stop their censorship, at least in the same capacity as they were doing before. Pretty interesting from Facebook, following in the footsteps of X. Moving over to fear and greed, finished at a 27 from a 26, so basically flat on the day. Momentum, still extreme fear, really across the board, all the way through put call ratio, which continues to elevate here. Volatility did pull back a little bit. Safe haven demand, still extreme fear, and junk bonds just not moving. Interesting to see those holding up really, really well, while just about everything else is in extreme fear. Moving over to the economic calendar, PPI came in better than expectations by a pretty wide margin, 0% on the core number, 0.2 on the headline number. Overall, much better than expectations. Everything you would have wanted to see there, very, very good. Federal deficit, 87 billion, not great. And then looking at tomorrow, CPI data going to be the huge one for tomorrow. And that's pretty much it. And then for Thursday, core and headline retail sales, imports, exports, initial jobless claims, nothing crazy. Retail sales could be fairly interesting. Want to see those doing well. But really, CPI is going to be the driver for this week. And I would expect it to be a little bit light just based on what we saw on the PPI data today. Moving over to the earnings season, you can see we start earnings tomorrow with some of these biggest banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, as well as Goldman Sachs, all pre-market tomorrow. Definitely going to be interesting. And then pre-market Thursday, a bunch more financials, all the way here through the Friday, most of those coming out in the morning session. Moving over to Max Pain, you can see Max Pain is at 580 now for the Friday. Interesting move down just a little bit, pretty much in line with stock price. Put call ratio still hovering. Options are actually coming out of the market a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how those fluctuate after the CPI data tomorrow. But either way, put wall 580, call wall 600. Really no change there. Moving over to the charts, looking at the S&Ps, this continues to kind of roll down here. We had a lower low yesterday, we caught into a bounce. Did have a little bit of follow through here today, and then we finished lower than the gap up into the open that we saw. So ended up positive 0.14 or 80 cents. Momentum continuing to kind of hover here. Your trend support all the way down at 577.99. We came down and almost touched that. And then again, we saw that rally into the end of the session, similar to what we saw yesterday as well. And then looking at that a little bit closer here with the levels, you can see we rallied up in the afternoon session into the after hours, went a little bit higher into the pre-market. Wick the level, that's where you should have been taking profits. Once you saw it touch that level and start to reject, we pulled back all the way to support. Broke down here. I actually tried to get a little bit short in here, and then we saw the rally and got stopped out. Pretty tight on the stops, and then I held this into the close here as we continue to look very strong, especially on the volume. Similar trading pattern as we saw in the NASDAQ. I took all of those trades on the NASDAQ, but similar price action, hit key levels, sold off, found some support, rallied through. Then moving over here to the SPY charts on the Tasty charts on the 4-hour, you can see that low and then the higher low setup if that's what you're looking for. And I did, like I said, I took this position into the end of the session. It is a little bit of a higher low setup. I thought we might fall through here after testing that 21 EMA and then selling off. Thought we might fall back down to this lowest ATR band in that 572.80 area. But then we held some wicks in here and then we started to rally into the close. So it does look a little bit more like a higher low setup. At least in the short term, that would give you some potential here to the upside. Still in bearish conditions. I want to look at this on the hourly chart. Yeah, so with that move in the after hours yesterday, that put us into bullish conditions on the hourly chart and then back into bearish here with the move down into the open. So mixed signals, initially bullish, like we talked about yesterday. We were bullish into the close, but hit these key levels and sold. I thought we'd push down to these lower areas here, but we ended up holding that either double bottom or higher low, depending on how you're looking at it. So in the short term, mixed signals at best. but realistically, you could make a case for either direction in my opinion. Then moving over here to the NASDAQ, you can see it was still negative on the day, 48 cents. We touched the level, again, 509.74 was the level. We came up, touched that level, showed rejection, sold back off to 503, overthrew that a little bit. Higher low setup from yesterday's lows coming off of these trends here. As long as 503.52 holds in there, you should be in good shape. Again, after hours, you're seeing about a 70 cents rally, so similar to what we saw yesterday. Probably in preparation for that CPI data. Structurally neutral at best. Coming off of this rally, that structure has broken here. So you have a little bit of a downtrend, at least here in the short term. And then again, looking at it on the hourly chart, came into my level. This is the one that I was trading off of. I generally trade the NASDAQ. 509.74 hit this key level. I think I sold in here somewhere around 508. Obviously, you're not going to catch the tops, but we were showing big wicks of rejection at my key level. So I took profits here. Like I said, I was looking for this to sell off once 503.50 broke, especially because this area in here broke. We closed below it on that 10 o'clock candle. And then we started to show rally, lost a little bit of money on that, not a lot, fortunately. I was watching it pretty closely there on that trade. And then once we started to rally through at the end of the session, I got long once again. Nice up candle. After hours, we gave a little bit of that back. We'll see how it plays out. 503.52 is the level. As long as that holds structure, we're in good shape. If that breaks down, you could be looking at a move back to this next lowest level, 498.44, or the trend in here, which is about 1.5%. So looking for a push back up to 509.74. But if 503 breaks, looking 498.44. And then looking at the Tasty charts here for the NASDAQ, similar to the SPY, you were in bullish conditions here, almost hit the upper band, sold off, back into bearish conditions here, holding this kind of structure, most of the volume coming on that buying candle in continuation after hours. So again, for me, that says a little bit to the bull side with this low, higher low here. You still have plenty of highs and lower highs in here, so you can make an argument either way, but I like this higher low setup for now. Bearish conditions with the ATR trailing stop at 512.42. I would like to see this rally up into there, test the level, and if it rejects from there, obviously take your profits in there. If it rejects, then you're looking for a pushback to these lowest bands, which would take you back into the 500 area. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, these both had a really good day. The Russell was up 1.14%, the Dow was up about 0.5%, really strong here. Gapped up, retested the level to 1813, and then rallied through. After hours looks good. Momentum stepping back to bullish after the down day technically yesterday, so got the nice continuation there. Similarly here on the Dow, almost touched the level, gapped up and rallied after retesting the gap fill and then continuing higher. I want to see it break some of these levels. For me, 221.49 is the level for the Russell, and then 426.20 is your level on the Dow. Moving over to the Mag 7, the Mag 7 doing pretty terrible, down 1.23%. So you got markets overall doing fairly well, especially with the Russell and the Dow like we just looked at, but the Mag 7 not leading to the upside, closing much lower on the day. We tested 315.04, overthrew it really powerfully, didn't even make it to the 21 EMA for that retest, and then we ended up continuation lower towards that 55 EMA. We still haven't touched that yet. We still haven't touched my 305.25 level, momentum bearish, RSI bearish. Very concerning here if this starts to break down. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple down 0.5, Microsoft down 0.36. The level on Microsoft continues to hold. We threw wicks to that level, continues to close above it, 413.36. It's almost like buyers are coming in there, maybe some stock buybacks or something. This is where they're trying to hold the line. 413, so still can't close below it. And then looking at Apple, close negative, like I said, headed back to 230.28 in my opinion. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA. Tesla was down 1.72%. This is a terrible setup. This is not at all what you want to see. So we rallied up, hit the 21 EMA. The 21 was at 422.81. The high of day was 422.64. So technically you missed it by just a few pennies, but I'm going to call that a touch. We came in, hit that zone here, rejected very powerfully, finishing negative on the day. So for me, this is a big bearish setup. You got the breakdown, retest 21, breakdown from there. I would expect continuation here. It's already down about $2 after hours. If this breaks the trend here tomorrow, I would be looking for a bigger move down on Tesla. Actually looks like a really good setup to the bear side, so maybe looking to buy some puts in here. Honestly, I wish I had seen this touch in here with the powerful rejection off of it, but this is a bad setup. I would expect more selling, at least 1 to 2 more days of selling in my opinion. And then NVIDIA also negative 1% or so. touched the level 130.35, continues to touch that level and find support. Still haven't closed below it. Momentum and RSI still bearish. Moving over to Amazon and Alphabet, really these continue to do not a whole lot of anything, but I think I didn't talk about them yesterday, so let's talk about it here briefly. Amazon continues to hold trend support in here. Momentum and RSI still bearish. And similarly here with Alphabet, continuing to consolidate in this area. It looks bearish to me. We're below all the short-term EMAs. We're below the level here. You can see we gapped up, touched 193.31. High of day was 193.27. So again, just a few pennies. I'm calling it a touch. Rejected from there. If this breaks structure and closes below 188.83, my guess is we're going to see a bigger sell, at least to 185, potentially the 55 EMA in there at 182.32. Moving over to Meta and Broadcom. Meta was down 2.31%. Broadcom was down just 0.25% there. So Broadcom continuing to hold up really well in here right at the trends. And then looking at Meta, broke below the level 602.95 after touching these zones in here, rejected off of there. 55 is still your support there at 591.82. We'll see how that settles tomorrow, but if that closes below the 55 EMA, I think there's a pretty decent potential we head back down to 564.50. Moving over to staples and discretionaries. Staples managed to stay positive on the day, continuing to hold trend support in here. The trend for tomorrow is going to be 76.05. Continues to hold this structure in here. Good volume coming through at these lows. Look at this volume on the Friday, and then similar volume really elevated on this selling here. Continues to hold a base on elevated volume. I think there might be either a close in transaction. It's been a big sell from 83 down to 76. Maybe we're seeing that position closing. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of buying in here potentially. I think it's a decent opportunity. I would still like to see a little bit more structure. And then looking at discretionary is down on the day, but nothing crazy. 55 EMA, still your support at 220.28. Moving over to semis and oil and gas. Semis continues to consolidate in here. This was a market leader. It looks like we're consolidating, waiting for this 55 EMA to kind of catch up. And then I would expect it to kind of break lower into this zone here. If that happens, it's going to be terrible for markets. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And then looking at oil gas, just continues to march upwards after getting the 140.88 break, and we closed above the 200 SMA on the daily chart. Momentum still very bullish, nearly overbought here. This rally is probably getting pretty close to done. Right now, based on my rules, the target would be 145.92, but again, just look how close you are to overbought at a 68.50. Could absolutely come up here, touch the level, and then start to reject. Very similar to this, where you were overextended to the downside, rallied up, hit the key level, and then you got a huge sell right back through the lows, fully round trip the move, and then some. So just be aware, this is a choppy stock. Oil and gas can absolutely go in either direction in a straight line. So looks like you're getting close to a culmination move, style move in this area. Moving over to breadth. Breadth continues to do really well. We said it looked really good yesterday, and it continues to look really good here today. Big gaps up, big rallies through 47 and 26% respectively. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. These continue to look very good. I think they're going to go higher. Part of why the Russell looked so much better here today than we've been seeing. The NASDAQ not really participating in the rally, with the Mag 7 not really participating in the rally so much, but for everything else, especially the Russell, this looks really good. Moving over to the dollar did exactly what we hoped it would. So we ended up getting a continuation candle lower, nice confirmation candle. It's not quite closed yet on the day. You got 5 more minutes there, but it looks like it's going to close below the body of that Friday candle. It's right at the 144 EMA on the hourly chart at 109.17. Want to see it break the trend, want to see it push back to the 21 EMA, momentum rolling to bearish, RSI rolling to bearish. If this continues to sell here and we see a little bit of dollar weakness, that should be good for equities. Got a big wick rejection from a major trend. Structurally, still very much bullish, but short term looks like a little bit of selling. Moving over to bonds, JNK going higher with markets. Nice little confirmation there. Still couldn't get above this area here though. We're still in this kind of same zone that we've been in. Gap down, gap up. Like to see that. Momentum not really going with it quite yet. A little bit of volume coming through. Overall looks okay, up 0.08. And then looking at TLT down on the day, just 0.16 or 14 cents. Really no change to the thesis. I think we're going to kind of base off in here, and this is going to continue to be a buying opportunity in my opinion, but We'll see how it plays out. Super oversold at a 27.34. Moving over to the VIX, we got a gap down and a doji. We threw a big wick in both directions. 1850 continues to hold support. We got a step down on momentum. Nice. Want to see that. If we get a little bit continuation here, I think we could head back to the 200 at 1628, somewhere in there. And then you got trend all the way down here around 1570 or so. The momentum step down is a little bit reassuring, but we're still holding 1850. So again, you could make an argument in either direction. I would guess a little bit bearish though. Moving over to my accounts, I traded pretty well on the day. You can see $69 on the Roth account. Obviously, I didn't participate in all of those rallies, but I did put on a 218 for tomorrow. I held through the dip low, so that put me in good position, anticipating a good CPI read, at least one that markets like, for $1.21 credit at 218. So that's below the level with a buy price around 217.80. We'll see how that plays out. I think I'm going to be in good position there tomorrow. The Russell looked really good. Breadth looks really good. And then looking at the Qs, I put on a 500 and a 499. I put those on a little bit before the after hours rally, so that's in a profitable position. Max credit there is 440. Want to see some rally throughs. I'm going to continue to be nimble though. If we see rallies up and we hit key resistance and start to sell, I'm definitely going to be looking to take profits. Remember that the medium term charts, being the daily chart, is still technically bearish, so I would expect rallies to be sold off. I don't think the rallies are going to be super aggressive. We saw a nice little rally. We hit key resistance and sold today. And I think that's going to continue to be the thesis, at least for the short term. Let me know down in the comments section what you thought of the Zuck and his moves with Meta. And what did you think of markets today? Did they do what you thought they would? Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.